Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you to Talking Tea Time with Dr. G and the Doctors. Dr. G is still sipping on her water until next month. So stay tuned. We are in for a wonderful treat. Great episode. We'll be right back.
A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today.
Welcome back to Talk and Tea Time with Dr. G and the Doctors. I am so excited. This is our season finale show, and I am so excited to be here. So I am going to go on and get started. I'm going to introduce my fabulous co-host. To my right, I have the LaVon Singleton. Hey, hey.
What's up? What's up?
And then the beautiful Dr. Takara Smith. Hello there.
How are you?
I am awesome. I am going to yield the floor, and I'm going to have Dr. Singleton to introduce our panelists for the evening. Dr.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Dr. G. So tonight we're going to be doing a very special episode where we are highlighting African American men in education. And we know what the research and statistics say that the impact that African Americans have on our young black boys that are in schools nowadays. And so without any further ado, I want to introduce our panelists who have joined us today. To my far right, we have Mr. Domonic Lenoir. He is currently the principal in the Riverview Garden School District. So Domonic, say hello to the camera.
How you doing? How's everybody doing?
All right, all right. Next to Domonic, we have my good buddy and frat brother, and also stellar educator. He's principal in the St. Louis Public Schools, Mr. Jim Triplett, the future Dr. Jim Triplett.
How you doing, everybody?
All right. And to his immediate left is another stellar educator and author, and he is assistant superintendent right now in the Kirkwood School District. He's assistant superintendent of human resources, Dr. Howard Fields. Will you greet everybody? Dr.
Thank
Fields.
you so much. I appreciate you all having me here, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Cool, cool. All right. So we're going to dive right in, and I think coming off the cuff, we will just dive deep into this conversation. So African American men in education. Each of you, just take a moment and tell us about your career path. I mean, how did you end up getting into education? Starting with you, Mr. Lenoir.
I started off in going to University of Missouri-Rolla, which is now Missouri S&T, for mechanical engineering. It was one summer that we were looking for a summer job, so I wound up teaching geometry and calculus and, trigonometry in summer program, Upward Bound. And so there we were also mentors, and we just friended a few young men, and they wind up, I'm a member of Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, so it was a few of my brothers, and they wind up forming a little Upward Bound fraternity, and we taught them how to step, and we bonded with them over the whole entire summer. And then about a year later, I saw two of them on campus, and these were young men that were like riding the fence. They would go to the streets, or they may go to, education. And so I saw them on campus. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm like, what you all doing here? It's like, hey, we decided to come to school to Raleigh. We go to school here. And I'm like, what? And it was just amazing. And they said it was because of me and my fraternity brothers, talking to them and working with them over that summer. They decided to go to school, but not only they decided to go to school, they decided to go to University of Missouri-Rolla, which was pretty deep. And so that was one of the best feelings I ever had, making a mark in some young men's lives. So I didn't decide at that moment that I was going to be in education. I was actually going into mathematics. I was planning on doing actuarial science, but then when I came home just seeing the effect that I had, and I got into education. From then on, my mission was to be there for young black males, man, and make a difference in young black males' lives. So I still, to this day, will tell everyone that's my mission. Not that I don't care about all of my other scholars and want them to be successful, but my mission is to make sure that I can move as many black men into that, to a better life.
Sure. Brother Triplett, tell us about your career path.
So going into field education was a second career for me. I spent about 16 years working in retail management actually. 2004, my mom passed, 9 days after my 26th birthday. Was burned out of retail, didn't know what to do, and so sought therapy and prayer. And then I had a calling on my life to become an educator. And so I was obedient to that calling, started taking coursework at the community college to get my associate's degree, ultimately my bachelor's degree in education. And God has been ordering my steps ever since then. And here I am 10 years later as a principal.
Wow, amazing. And you got a unique story. I think we'll share a little bit of that story a little bit later. I just happen to know some of the details of that. Dr. Fields, tell us about your career path and how you wind up all the way at the top. I mean, you're the assistant superintendent right now, so it's only one more step for you. But tell us how you got to where you are.
I'm high enough. I would say for me, I started off wanting to go to ITT Tech. I like computers, I like technology. And so that was the dynamic that I believed what I was going to do. And so once I saw that ITT Tech bill in terms of how much it was going to cost, I had to shift gears. And so on the last day of late registration, I wound up going to St. Louis Community College at Florissant Valley. And I was just going for general education, quite frankly, because I was coaching basketball as well. Absolutely love coaching, girls basketball at that. And so it was fun. A former coach poured into me a little bit. And so my next goal was to become an athletic director. As a physical educator coach, that was the thing, right? You get to coach, you get to be around students. Who doesn't love time in the physical education space? And so I went to Illinois. I was born in Illinois, but I went through Illinois to become a registered certified administrator in the athletic side. Having said that, a principal of mine at the time stated that I had a natural gift of connecting with both colleagues and students. And so she invited me to this new thing at the time called PLC, Professional Learning Communities. And so with that, I flourished, and she told me that I needed to go into administration. Well, at the time, a lot of athletic directors were going to get their certification for administration because it was considered an administrative job. That was going to be the avenue from my standpoint. As Brother Triplett just said, God had different plans. There's only one athletic director for a district where there are multiple principals for the most part. And so a door opened. Ms. Valeska Hill was just a godsend in the sense of giving me an opportunity as an administrator. And so since then, I've been surrounded by some incredible educators, some community members, and my career has certainly benefited from the people I've had a chance to connect with. And so now I've served as a principal for 3 years, and I'm assistant superintendent of human resources. And so it's a lot going on, especially right now in education. But it's also been a blessing hearing from brothers like Brother Lenoir talk about his calling and how important it is to get educators into education, to remain in education, but also as young black men to see that they do have a natural gift that many haven't even tapped into in the education field.
Wow.
So Dr. Fields, can I ask this question? Post-pandemic, what has been one of your biggest challenges?
I think that's a spectacular question. I would say, for me personally, I would say making sure we have that level of balance. Anytime there's high burnout, there was a Gallup poll that was published a few days ago, June 13th to be specific, and it said education and educators had the highest level of burnout in comparison to any other field. And so when you think about the dynamic related to burnout, it does come back to a situation where are we taking care of them ourselves? Being in HR, we do a lot of interview. And I know there was a point in time where 10, 15 years ago, if the response was always education, we wanted to hear that. So what do you do on the weekend? Education. What do you do outside of education? Education. If there was a cereal called education, I would eat it. Everything is education, education, education. Well, we all know, especially with some of the dynamics, that cannot be sustainable. And so the question becomes, how are you taking care of yourself? We have to model that as administrators, because if we don't, the only thing we're doing, in a sense, is showing people that you work until you can't anymore. I mean, rest in peace, a number of educators are dying on the job. I mean, there's so much going on, and that's post-pandemic. That's post some of the other challenges that have plagued our education field. And so I would say right now, establishing that balance, making sure you're taking care of mind, body, soul, spirit, all of those things, and you're continuing to give all that you can until it's the next person or the next individual's opportunity to continue that path.
Okay. Brother Triplett.
So, I have a question. So, and this is for all three of you or whoever wants to jump in. I am a single Black mother. I have a son and a daughter. My son is 17 and he's headed off to college, and I'm grateful for that. But it's some mothers that are struggling to keep their children on the right track, especially these young Black men, the ones that you're pouring into. What can you tell mothers like myself that are single, that's out here trying to keep their kids on track? What do you tell us to do? Because you have them for 8 hours, and we have them for the other 16, right? Is that right, 8?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So what can you tell me and other mothers? What can we do to keep these young men on track and not want to jump in those streets? What are you teaching them that I need to also be feeding into them? Or what are you doing that I need to be doing at home?
So I'll try to answer both those questions. First, I'll tell my staff and myself and my students that I don't think that we're post-pandemic. I think we're still in the midst of a pandemic. And so with that in mind, trying to continue to keep myself, my staff, and my students safe while my entire staff is vaccinated. The babies aren't necessarily vaccinated. I know they, kind of lowered the age range, but some parents just still aren't comfortable with getting their kids vaccinated. And so it's important for me to make sure that my baby scholars are safe. And to his point, self-care. I'm also focusing on social emotional strategies for my staff as well as my students, because that's what's important as well. To your point, in regards to young Black men and supports, the first thing is what you're doing right now is advocating for your child. I think a lot of parents don't know how to properly advocate for their kids. They want to, but don't know what that looks like. As a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, we have mentoring programs that start as early as middle school. So if not Kappa League or Junior Kappa League, just finding some type of mentors within the community that could help you in making sure that your child stays on the good path by seeing those positive male role models, because they don't necessarily exist in the school. I don't have that many Black males in education, yet alone in my building. So just reaching out within the community and find those people.
So Lenoir, answer that same question before we go on commercial break.
So one thing I would say, and I look at my childhood, I had a mom that raised 3 boys on her own, and activities. Keep your child active. I was in sports, so I played baseball, football, basketball. So all year round, I didn't have a meal in the house, but I had a coach. And those men that I looked up to, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be here, because there was a lot of things they told me not to do, and those were my father figures. And so right now we're coming out of the pandemic. A lot of programs are opening up. A lot of people are bringing back these programs. Not only should you keep them involved in sports, there are so many programs out there that are doing cybersecurity, different types of IT programs. Also, you have the Boy Scouts. If we were to say any program that will teach you life skills and how to survival skills after this pandemic, we should all know we need to learn those type of skills to be able to accept, because we never know where we're going to end up in a situation. So just different organizations. And then also I would tell a parent to access to information. There's so much information out there, and a lot of parents want the best for their kids, but they just don't know how. So get to the school, always the first day of school, you should be reaching out to those teachers and say, hey, so-and-so is my child. These are my expectations of you as a teacher. I need you to communicate with me if any falters or whatever, if there's good, bad, whatever, I need you to communicate. These are my phone numbers. You would be surprised how many parents we cannot get in touch with because of the phone numbers are not even correct. Give the teacher your phone number. And then you ask the teacher, say, what are your expectations of my child? So you lay down your expectations of the teacher. You ask the teacher what are their expectations of your child, and you make sure, and you have that communication. And that's where the information comes, and you learn things. When you are an actively involved parent, PTO is very important. I tell my parents all the time, the PTO, as well as the PTO go, is as well as the school go.
Right. So Domonic Lenoir, let's pause right there. Dr. G,
Yes.
you want to?
Yes. So, wow, great discussion. So we are going to take a short break and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, and she convinced me to continue my education. No one receives a diploma alone. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Talking Tea Time with Dr. G and the Doctors. And if you are just tuning in, we have an awesome panel of African American educators here with us this evening. So, Dr. Singleton, let's continue this conversation.
Yes. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into this segment and talk about this school to prison pipeline. And we've all heard of this. We know what the research says, that that kids are indoctrinated in school in the early years, and eventually school turns them into the educational system fails them, and then all of a sudden our kids end up in prison. So that's that school to prison pipeline. What I'd like each of you to share is just take 45 seconds and just share some interventions. You all are head of your buildings or have been head of your buildings. But what are the things that you're doing on a daily basis to make sure that our kids are not a part of that school to prison pipeline? Let me start with you, Mr. Triplett. Talk about some things at the elementary level that you would do, that you're doing on a daily basis to keep our kids engaged.
Okay. So that's exactly where it starts. That foundation is very important at elementary school level. I happen to be a principal of a Frable Literacy Academy, so it's in our title, which is district-wide. Literacy is important, and it's the focus. So making sure that not only that at the school, teachers are reading with the students, small group instruction, but going back to what what you were saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, about keeping our kids off the streets as much as possible.
So parental support, right? And so the teacher and the school tag teaming with the parent to make sure that what we're doing at the school carry on, and that support is also happening at home. Giving the parents that skill to, okay, this is what we're working on in the school for your son. This is what you should be working on as well. And so they talk about, this word gap that exists because of lack of conversations that are happening at home. And so making sure that you're having conversations at home with your child, just general conversation. How's your day going? What did you read? Ask questions about what they read, or read to them. You're traveling in the car, just talk about what you see. So it's just making sure that they have access to literature at an early age.
Domonic, what are you doing to keep our kids from that school to prison pipeline?
The most important thing is you got to get the interest in students and get them to buy into school and to education. It's different now. It's different with the attention span. The internet. If you're sitting trying to tell me something for 45 minutes, you're lecturing to me for 45 minutes. I can find that in 2 on the internet. So you have to be able to buy in. So the vision that I have for my school is to bring the fun into school, and what I mean by that is to find those interests. So this summer we're having drama club. We also have band club, we're going to initiate a gardening club. Also, we have brought in esports, and that actually kids, when are we going to start? So that was a big draw to get students interested in esports, and actually some of my young ladies are into the esports program also. So bringing in programs and bringing in those different opportunities for students to give them exposure. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is to expose them to different opportunities and different things that are out there. So now that we're opening up again, college visits, going to visit companies, one thing I always tell, you have a lot of people out there that want to say they want to come speak to you or come help you or come talk to your kids. And I always tell them, I don't want you to come to my classroom to talk to my kids. I want you to get me a bus so I can take them out there to your business or to your school or to your organization, so they could actually experience being out and see these different things. You coming and standing in front of the classroom and talk to them is just not where it's at. So I'm doing those type of things to make sure that all the opportunities that I may have been afforded, they have those opportunities that will help them.
Okay. Dr. Fields, talk about some interventions to keep our kids from that school to prison pipeline.
Well, I think Brother Triplett and Brother Lenoir hit it out the park. And I really love the idea about the esports. I think that's fascinating. So I don't even know if I have much to add from that standpoint. I'll go from more of a systems dynamic as a systems thinker. I think it's incredibly important for our school systems and our staff to be involved in anti-bias, anti-racism work. Because from the standpoint of whether you believe our kids can or cannot, you are correct. And so if you see our young males as scholars, our young black boys as gifted in what they do, then that's what you're going to see. But if you see them as being problematic and having some dynamics that are not suitable for school, then they're only going to reinforce certain behaviors and certain ideologies that you have. In our schools, everything that you do, and I mean the intentionality is important, but everything you do will either perpetuate the system that we're talking about or it will dismantle. There is no either or. And so from a standpoint of supporting students, again, the brothers already hit that out of the park, but we have to look at it from a structural standpoint as well. And it's not that teacher A is doing this, teacher B, no, our organizations are doing this. And how do we make sure we're addressing some of the evidence that's there, some of the data that has been there since all of us were in school that perpetuates the school to prison pipeline.
Wow,
Awesome.
wow,
Okay.
amazing.
So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Right here, baby.
The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
Welcome back to Talking Tea Time with Dr. G. All righty, Dr. Singleton, let's take it out.
All right, so listen, rather than the typical tip of the day coming from the doctors, we're going to allow the educators, these stellar, fine black educators, to take us out with a nugget. Give me something, Dr. Lenoir, that you want to leave an impression of.
I would tell the students, believe in yourself. Don't let anybody stop you from where you want to go. And the parents, be actively involved in your child's education every step of the way.
Thank you. Dr. Triplett.
I want to speak to the other black men out there. We are up here as black male educators, and representation matters. And so whether you are a black man who are trying to change careers or aspiring to become an educator, just step out on faith and do it. If you're not an educator, but you are a black man and you want to make a difference, to his point, make yourself present, because representation matters. You're not necessarily be an educator, but just come and let these children, black girls and boys, see that we exist and that we care about them.
Dr. Fields.
Brother Singleton, I wish you'd have let me go first because I have to follow him up on all of these. And so, but great points. I appreciate all of them. I would say twofold, one of which be patient with our gentlemen, with our students. We're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And when we think about the rest of our lives, it's simply a snapshot in motion. And so you can give me whatever picture you want to give me, but don't ask me then, what did this person go on and do? And I don't know, it's just a picture. And we have to remember as educators, as community members, it does take a village, but sometimes we're wrong. Oftentimes we're wrong, and we have to be patient with our students. I would say listen to our students and get them in a constant flow of communicating. If someone is communicating, that's a start. If someone is shut down and they're not talking, that's when we have to be nervous. And when they do communicate, we have to provide them with the support that they need. I know there's still a stigma with mental health and all of those dynamics. We have to listen to our students and give them what they deserve, because if they're communicating, if we're being patient, that window is only going to be open so long where they're going to say, essentially, I provided you with what I need. I told you what I needed. And so I think those things are important as we continue to try to be our best for our students and for our community.
Awesome. So at this point, we got to cut the show. But I'm telling you, we are coming back we're going to continue this thing. Dr. G, we're going to continue with the passion that you guys have and the need for our young Black men to excel. We're going to continue this in season 3. So, Tish?
So on behalf of Dr. G and the doctors, thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of our platform. We really appreciate it. And so to my beautiful co-hosts, this would not be without you all. So this is our finale show, and I just want you all to know from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Smith and Dr. Singleton, I appreciate you all for being a part of my team. And to the viewers, listen, you all don't want to miss season 3. We are coming back bigger and better. So again, thank you to our awesome panelists for being a part of the finale show. And so, Dr. Singleton, is there one thing you would like to say to our viewers as being our finale show? This is it until season 3.
I know it. So here's what we say. We've heard from these stellar educators. You can be anything you want to be. Write your career path. The Bible tells you to write the vision, make it plain. And so we are here to support. That's our mission. That's our passion, to support African-American students. We support all students, but we have a passion to make sure that kids that look like us here on this panel have the tools to be successful. So thank you so much.
Hey, Dr. Smith, real fast.
Yes, all I have to say is when you fall down, get back up.
All righty. Thank you all so much. We will see you all season 3. Bye-bye.